Hello and welcome to Clownfish TV. This is me, Geeky Sparkles, and I am here without Neon for this video. So yesterday, if you follow me on Twitter, I stumbled across an article on Fandom Wire, and then I started noticing a pattern with the certain types of quote-unquote blogs, journalists, that kind of stuff. They're all trying to leverage the Kathleen Kennedy getting fired rumor for clicks, but they're doing so in a way where they can just shit on the fans and talk about how poor Kathleen Kennedy was the reason that Star Wars is doing fantastic right now and is winning, okay? And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So we're going to take a look at that today. But before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo, and we'll get into this. So the rumor, of course, is that Kathleen Kennedy is going to probably be fired after Indiana Jones is failing, as well as she already ruined Willow, and all the Star Wars movies are going down the shithole. Okay, it's yet to be proven. It's just a rumor, even though at this point in time, I'd be more surprised if she doesn't get canned. If she doesn't get canned, guys, and then she's got blackmail material on these people, 100%, which I've said before, because no other place can you fail this historically. Can you run every IP that the company owns into the ground and keep your job? Okay, it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of it was avoidable by just telling better stories. And there has been a definite concerted effort on the part of Lucasfilm and maybe Kathleen Kennedy to go through all these franchises that were male-led and switch it out to a woman. All right. And they're doing it in a way like, oh, we're just doing it because we need to have more women in these, even though women were historically always in these properties, were major characters in these properties. I had a bunch of fans that were fans of the properties that were women. Women were not exactly kept out, and they keep trying to fix it, fix the problems, and make it women-led, female-led. And in doing so, they actually are kind of insulting to women, especially long-term fans, to attract this new audience of new fans. And the new fans that they want are the fans that you find on Twitter that are the activist-minded people, and they're the ones that, they're like locusts. They just move from thing to thing to thing, where everything has the biggest platform that they can scream from, the highest tower. And then when something else is shinier and higher, they go to that. They're not exactly staying with the fandom and staying with the property. Now, some do. Some join later and they find things they like and they stay on, and that's cool. Happy to have you. I'm happy to have you as long as you understand that people are allowed to like what they like and not like what they don't like, and they don't have to like what you like to be a fan. Unfortunately, a lot of these journalists don't understand that either. And we saw this with The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, you can pretty much take the collapse of Star Wars and trace it back to The Last Jedi. It divided the fandom. It went from, The Force Awakens, even though I thought, it was kind of, A New Hope all over again. It basically took, an audience that wanted this stuff back, got them all excited, got some new people in. And when they went to the step 2, which was The Last Jedi, they just threw out the entire Force Awakens. Like, pretty much Rian Johnson came in and just basically ruined everything that was done before. And the problem with that is you just ruined all these plot threads that were going to be moving forward, wrapped them up. Where do you go with that? And in doing this, the Force can be for anybody bullshit. That's what these people on Twitter want to hear. Yes, that's right. I'm special too. I've never seen a bigger group of people always wanting to be special. And if they're not special enough, they just keep adding things to make themselves more special. So when you're telling them you are Broom Boy, of course they're all like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. I've got the Force bitches. And it's like, they really, really divided up, especially when everybody started turning on the fans who didn't like it. Now, what made me upset was the fact that you had Finn and Poe set up and they just vilified them for no reason to make female characters that were half-assed female characters that came out of nowhere. Holdo, what's the point of Holdo? And Rose Tico's just annoying as hell. And they shoved them in there just to be a foil to these characters and put them in their place. There's no other reason for them. And it was unnecessary, and it was insulting to those to women and to female characters. It was done for some kind of agenda bullshit, and it wasn't because they were good characters that made sense in the story. There's no reason to put them there. Like, you could have taken them out of the story and it pretty much replaced it with Leia or somebody else, and it wouldn't have made no difference to the story. And when people didn't like it, you had these journalists and these quote-unquote fans telling everybody that they were horrible people. And back then, everybody was afraid of being a horrible person, so they went ahead and took it. Oh, no, you're right, it's great. But it wasn't great. And after, like a couple weeks after it came out, it fell off a cliff. It messed up Solo. I mean, not that Solo was that great to begin with, but it definitely tanked the Solo box office. By the time they tried to course correct with Rise of Skywalker, they had a mess. And it's a big problem. Now, look, if you like those movies, the Disney trilogy, you are allowed to like it. I mean, I'm not going to say anything to you unless you're being a dick to me first. You are more than welcome to like those films, okay? Knock yourself out. But I'm more than welcome to not like those films. And I'm allowed to like what I like, and you're allowed to like what you like. And until people understand that, it's going to be constant bickering and banshee screaming. Anyway, the point. So now everybody's running with this rumor for clicks. And you go through, this in the last week. Kathleen Kennedy fired, reportedly firing, numerous flops under her leadership. Lucasfilm has fired, Kathleen Kennedy, Frank Marshall, talk about different things. A lot of the people are using it as a way to get people to click on it so they can shit on fans. Case in point, Fandom Wire. So they're talking, after Indiana Jones 5 disaster, Lucasfilm reportedly firing Kathleen Kennedy to save Star Wars from further embarrassment. Well, I don't know how much further you can embarrass Star Wars. I mean, it's pretty much dead at this point. They have a little bit of interest in Ahsoka, probably because Thrawn's in it, and Ahsoka was a character from, Rebels and Clone Wars people liked. And since she's female, she has less chance of actually being fucked up. If she was a man, though, we'd be totally screwed. But they're talking about, you're all grab watching some of the epic and larger-than-life science fiction films Hollywood has given us. Jurassic Park, Schindler's List. Wait. Science fiction films. Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Schindler's List. Sorry, one of these things is not like the other. Indiana Jones kept our childhood packed. Wait. You put Schindler's List on science fiction films, and then you talked about how it kept your childhood packed. Schindler's List. No wonder you are a bitter tool bag. That was your childhood, was Schindler's List? And that's science fiction? Okay. Anyway, Kathleen Kennedy could manage doing such a remarkable job at that. Started her big production endeavor alongside Steven Spielberg, yes, reportedly fetching coffee, doing E.T. and that. When we first heard that Disney bought Star Wars, I was actually kind of excited about it because Disney had been doing rides and doing different things, and I was like, oh, okay, they'll do something with it. And then when they said about Kathleen Kennedy, I was like, okay, that's not too terrible, I guess, because she's been around a long time. If you look at most of the 80s movies that came out that were from Steven Spielberg or George Lucas or whatever, she's associated with it. So I thought, okay, I wrongly assumed that meant she knew what the hell she was doing. And so when she took over, I wasn't too upset about it. I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll get some good stuff. And when we got Rogue One, it was pretty good. And I was like, okay, great. They're going to make awesome Star Wars films. And The Force Awakens was good and it did well. I mean, I personally thought it was just A New Hope all over again. And I thought Rey started out really great in the first half hour. And then they just kind of made her an insufferable Mary Sue. But I could see where they were trying to go, and I was open to more movies down the road because I understood they had to get the fan base back. And I was excited to see what they did with it. And then they came out with Last Jedi, and then all hope was lost. They're talking about how she was named president of Lucasfilm 2012, blah, blah, blah. So they said, is she responsible for Indiana Jones' failure? So they're talking about how it's bombing at the box office. No, under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership, Lucasfilm has not been able to attract viewers like in the past. True. She revived the Star Wars franchise with hopes that the films would go toe-to-toe with Marvel Studios' interconnected universe. Well, you revived the films because Disney bought it and told you to. But to her dismay, only Star Wars The Last Jedi, only Star Wars The Last Jedi managed to beat the already faint expectations and went on to achieve much needed acclaim. That's not what happened. Well, first of all, this is this guy here. I don't even know how to say your name. Jazwi. Oh, we'll call you OJ. So OJ here thinks that The Last Jedi. So basically what we're hearing is OJ grew up listening or watching Schindler's List as his childhood and thought The Last Jedi was the bestest movie ever, thanks to Kathleen Kennedy. However, here's the thing. What happened was when The Force Awakens came out, it did very well. Grossed a lot of money. Okay. When The Last Jedi came out, it started strong until people saw what it was. And how they ruined Luke. And then it literally tanked. I mean, it did not do well. It was hundreds of millions under The Force Awakens. And then by the time Solo came out, it got even worse. And then by the time The Rise of Skywalker came out, it was just completely just forget about it because no one cared. Because at that point, you split the fandom with The Last Jedi. And then you had your people like OJ here who were the Last Jedi apologists and Rian Johnson suckers. And then you had people who were upset about how they treated Luke and they didn't like that movie. And then they tried to go back and get the people that didn't like the movie back. And in doing so, their new audience that they gained all were pissed, most of them journalists. And they all, you know, gave The Rise of Skywalker really bad reviews because it was mostly the journalists that you're reading about, these 20-something-year-old, I want to be broom boy journalists were the ones that were going around causing a lot of trouble with The Last Jedi, calling people names, incels, say they lived in the back of a cave. Don't you know it's only men who hate this, et cetera, et cetera. So this guy, OJ, apparently is one of those. But that's not what happened. I mean, that's not even hard to figure out. That's just a matter of looking. I mean, if you just go to the box office, I think this is just domestic, but you can see that The Force Awakens did much better than Last Jedi. And if you take them globally, it was hundreds of thousands underneath The Force Awakens. And Rogue One did okay. And then Rise of Skywalker is like way down here trailing behind. And it was trailing much further after you add the global box office to it. And they keep saying about how, oh, she brought Star Wars back. She did such a great job. Meanwhile, if you take the inflation into account, the original 1977 Star Wars film generated $775 million worldwide box office. That translates to $3.5 billion today. But yeah, everybody just hates Luke Skywalker. He's just an asshole. Thank God we have Rey. Anyway, so they keep going on with this. They said that, which is hilarious, to much acclaim. They're talking about Kathleen Kennedy having her contract renewed in 2021. It was extended to 2024. That doesn't mean that, hey, Bob Chapek had his contract renewed too, and look what happened there. It does not mean that you get to stay on. This means you have to buy your contract out. But it's also very possible that they want to get rid of her. They'll just let her run her contract out. They'll make her, that she has no power and let her contract run out. Then she just like, I'm retiring now kind of thing. It's also possible. At this point in time, I can't believe they haven't fired her ass because she has just ruined one thing after another. They're saying that her emails were locked out, but that could have been because she was given 2 weeks of paid leave so that leadership at Disney could figure out how to tackle declining success. Possible. I mean, in this case, it's completely possible. In the past, I was like, no, but it might be now because, like I said, she's ruined Star Wars. Willow was so bad, they completely pulled the whole new show off Disney Plus to take a write down because they were losing money on it so terribly. And now we have what happened with Indiana Jones. And I love this. Fans all across the globe have been highly upset with her leadership and say that she has ruined their childhood memories by pushing a political agenda instead of releasing films that stay true to the story. No, well, yes, but she also releases these films' political agenda and the Force is female bullshit. And then, they do things like vilify Luke. Indiana Jones, they took his happy ending away to make him miserable so that they could redo his happy ending. And it still wasn't like a happy ending he should have got with like Last Crusade and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You guys have gone out of your way. There was pictures in the cubicles at Lucasfilm where they had Luke Skywalker's face and they had a big red X through it. Okay? I don't know how more clear you can make it. Are they trying deliberately? Yes, it does seem like they're trying to do that deliberately. Are you going to tell me, a woman, that, I have to like it? Are you going to tell me that? Go ahead, I dare you. Please do. Because these people, and the reason I say that is because these people really, really hate, they want to call everybody incels, misogynist, racist, whatever. But when you point out that they're a racist or they're a misogynist or they're an asshole, no. You're just an internalized one, even though you happen to be a woman or whatever, and you happen to not be white. They're talking about how it could be the regular server checkups as Kennedy might have been vacationing with her family. How it pans out, it still remains to be seen. So then we got this covered, which is another David here. David just goes all in as well. Defeated Star Wars supporters get the wrong idea from Indiana Jones 5 flopping. So they're talking about how the mood's not great because Indiana Jones isn't doing well. And they said the audiences didn't like it. And they're talking about how there's a lengthy and pessimistic post on the Star Wars Reddit arguing a behind-the-scenes shakeup must happen. I agree. There needs to be. She needs to be kicked out. The fingers aren't being pointed at James Mangold. And to be fair, Dial of Destiny is actually a very fun movie. Okay, so we already know. But a long-time Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy, who lame. The buck stops with her. If there was no overarching story, that's on her. If everything's failing and they're changing things fundamentally, trying to change leads to women or whatever, and they things fail, she's in charge. It's on her. Who else is going to get fired, David? I bet we fired David if we got this covered for being an idiot. And I said, even mentioning her name generally attracts the worst kind of fan. What does that mean, David? Who's the worst kind of fan? Those who don't agree with you? Let me guess. You love The Last Jedi. And you're mad at people who don't. So they're the worst kinds of fans. Now, look, there are really bad people out there who do really shitty things, and they go call people names, and they go harass people on Twitter, and they do really underhanded stuff. Majority, 99.9% of the fans aren't those people. Whether you like it or hate it, they're not those people. Worst kind of fan basically means anybody who complains about Kathleen Kennedy, her Star Wars films. So you mean the majority of fans. Because given the track record of these movies and the cliff they're falling off of, and the viewership decline, that would imply the majority don't care for these properties. So the worst kind of fans, so pretty much everyone but you, okay? But it's difficult to deny that her leadership has seen some major wobbles in a galaxy far, far away. I'm surprised you're admitting that. Projects like Solo and The Rise of Skywalker were ruined by executive meddling, and much of the success of the Disney Plus show shows it's down to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni overseeing rather than Kennedy. Okay, well, that's true. Filoni and Favreau are overseeing the shows. However, I thought this was funny. Rise of Skywalker ruined by executive meddling. It was ruined because they tried to walk it back to win fans back, and then they just pissed everybody off. So yeah, just by this comment, David here is a Last Jedi stan. Guaranteed. Because the only people who were mad about The Rise of Skywalker ruining The Last Jedi were the ones who liked The Last Jedi. Pretty much most of the fans that checked out with The Last Jedi didn't come back. You won some people back with Rise of Skywalker. Most didn't. And the ones who were really, really salty about Rise of Skywalker are the journalists and the people who like Last Jedi. So David's a broom boy, most likely. But like the post concludes as it's perfect time to ditch Kennedy. We're entering a new era of Star Wars, and it's time for fresh perspective at the top of the company. They said the replies were charitable, pointing out 2023 has been a slow year for summer blockbusters, with many mega budget releases coming in June and July. Yeah, here's the thing though. A lot of other movies are still doing well. Mario Brothers did well. Guardians of the Galaxy didn't do as much as they hoped, but it still did pretty well. The Mission Impossible movies are looking to do really well. We have other ones coming out like Oppenheimer and Barbie, and they think Barbie's going to do well. We'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of things coming out that are planning to do well, so you can't make that argument fairly. Like Indiana Jones didn't do well because the other movies weren't doing well. No, it was a tentpole and a half. It was like huge tentpole franchise. The problem is most people are like, we don't need another stupid Indiana Jones movie. And then when they saw what it was going to be like, and like they're making him a grumpy old, asshole, they're kind of like, yeah, no, he already had happy ending. I'm not coming back after Crystal Skull. Why are we doing this? And it's money. When they're saying about Star Wars and Indiana Jones aren't comparable because Indiana Jones is banking on, the past, but Star Wars is reinventing itself. No, Star Wars, started out with The Force Awakens, which was basically A New Hope all over again. And when people complained about that, they were like, oh, we're just setting out to get the old fans back, and then we're going to move on to new things. And then we got what we get for a new thing, The Last Jedi, which split fans. When you had something like The Mandalorian, it did pretty well, and you ruined it. You're in decline. And you have to go, and they're having to go back to doing things like bringing Luke back in The Mandalorian. We've had to go back to now we're bringing Grand Admiral Thrawn in from the Legacy. We're bringing in other characters, legacy characters from the books. There's a rumor that Filoni's movie might be The Heir to the Empire, which was a book. No, they're digging into old beloved things to try to save it. It's not about reinventing itself. I would argue it's turning back to nostalgia even more so because it needs people to come back and they're not coming back. But they're like, we suspect Kennedy is safe for some time yet. It's worth remembering that despite some major missteps, Star Wars is bigger than it's ever been. And she succeeded in her mission to expand the franchise beyond appealing to a young male audience. Well, that's refreshing. You start calling everybody old, incels, boomers, men. Well, no, you did say men. But, this is where as a woman, I'm offended. Because I'm so tired of this narrative that women didn't like Star Wars. It is not true. There were women loving Star Wars since the day the first movie came out. There are women who were fans of the books. There are women who are fans of the different shows. There are a lot of women who are fans of the prequels. There are women who've been fans for years. But this narrative just dismisses that. And then there have been strong female characters in, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, etc. for years. Willow, we had strong female leads in all of them. And it just completely negates that and basically makes it that, oh, well, thank God Kathleen Kennedy just came to put women into these things. And thank God that women are now fans now. Because it's not for you, it's for the women. Well, I'm a woman and I hate it. Plus, this whole idea that women don't ever want to see male heroes is a load of shit. There's a lot of heroes that happen to be women that I like. There's a lot of heroes that happen to be men and I like them. It's more about the character, and it's not about whether or not they have a dick. I mean, this David has plenty of dick for everyone, apparently. He's a walking dick. I'm just tired of this narrative. If a couple upcoming Star Wars movies meet the same fate as Dial of Destiny, then Disney will start getting antsy. That one of their gold standard mega franchises perhaps isn't getting the treatment it should. David, that ship has sailed. Star Wars is in decline. Mandalorian viewership's dropping off a cliff. It's all in decline. She hasn't saved anything. And that's just like the whole thing with N.D. Stevenson and She-Ra too. You have a franchise that's been around for decades. Star Wars was strong for decades. They kept bringing it back to huge, amounts of fanfare, lots of money. People were buying it up. Toys were selling like crazy. You had this for years. It was a brand worth money because it had been a brand that people have supported for years. Then these people come in and then they're like, oh, well, I'm going to reimagine it. And when I reimagine it, I ruin it. But because, I'm reimagining it. And if one of them does well, it's because I did it. It's me. Kathleen Kennedy did it because Force Awakens did well and Rogue One did well. Yeah, Rogue One was good. The Force Awakens was okay. But you ruined it by the time you got to Last Jedi with narrative. I'm so tired of this bullshit. David here looks like he's about 20-something. I was around then, David. Were you? So stop telling me how things were when you don't even fucking know. And these people keep there's Last Jedi stands, guaranteed. And they're just mad because they want more of that. And Kathleen Kennedy gave us Last Jedi. We all can be Jedi now. We're all special now. And the High Republic, we're all special now. And it's like, I'm so tired. There's a whole generation of people who just, they are so desperate for attention that they want to be special. And it's like, you all are special in your own way, but you all want to be like, nobody can be, you all want to be special, but no one can be more special than you. And I'm just tired of it. Kathleen Kennedy, I have no answer for you. If she doesn't get gone, then I completely believe without a shadow of a doubt that she's got dirt on somebody because the woman is incompetent and should have been gone a long time ago. She ruined Star Wars, years ago. And after The Rise of Skywalker, they really should have seen that it was ruined. After Solo, they really should have seen it was ruined. She should have been out then. Then you let her near Willow. Then you let her near Indiana Jones again. And shock to no one, look, she screwed them up too. Sorry this is a long video, but I can't believe how stupid these people are. Meanwhile, A New Hope, adjusted for inflation, $3.5 billion. But please tell me again how, thank God, Kathleen Kennedy made Star Wars a brand worth noticing. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.